Have you ever sat in a quiet room and wondered when the silence started feeling so heavy? It's not the peaceful kind of quiet, like when you're reading a book or watching the sunrise. It's the kind that feels like something, or someone, is missing. Maybe you've noticed that the phone doesn't ring as often, or that dinner feels different when you're setting the table for one. You go out less, people visit less, and before you even realize it, the days start blending together. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. And you're certainly not broken. Feeling lonely after 60 is more common than most people admit. Not because we aren't strong or capable, but because life changes. People move away. We retire. We lose loved ones. And sometimes, even when we're surrounded by others, we can still feel disconnected. But here's the good news. Connection isn't gone. It just shows up differently now. And today, I want to share 5 simple habits that can help bring real connection back into your life. Not quick fixes, and definitely not anything that feels fake or forced. These are habits you can grow into that actually work and can make your days feel just a little bit lighter, a little bit warmer. Let's start with one of the most powerful ones, even though it might sound a bit unexpected. Start talking to strangers. Yes, strangers. Not the kind your parents warned you about, of course. I mean the grocery store clerk, the lady with the kind eyes at the park, the neighbor you wave to but never really speak with. See, when we were younger, we had built-in social networks, workplaces, kids' activities, crowded homes. But after 60, those casual interactions don't just happen anymore. We have to invite them back in. You'd be amazed what a simple good morning can turn into. A smile, a little laughter, a moment of feeling seen. It's not about deep conversations right away. It's about reopening the doors to small human moments that warm the spirit. I know someone, Joan, 72, who made a rule for herself. Every day she'd start a conversation with one person she didn't know. Sometimes it was just a compliment at the pharmacy. Other times it led to coffee with a new friend. She told me once, the first hello is the hardest. After that, everything feels easier. And she's right. That first hello is the key. Try it. Just once. Tomorrow, when you're out, notice someone nearby and say something kind. Watch what happens. Now, while that habit works wonders for those small, in-the-moment connections, let's talk about something more personal, and for many, more emotional. Reach back out. You know that friend you haven't talked to in years? The cousin you used to laugh with every Christmas? The old neighbor you promised to keep in touch with but didn't? Sometimes, the reason we feel lonely isn't because people are gone. It's because the thread has simply unraveled. But you can pick it up again. I spoke with a gentleman named Carl, 68. He lost touch with his brother after a falling out 20 years ago. No big argument. Just the slow drift that happens when life gets in the way. After his wife passed, Carl found himself staring at the old family photo on the mantel and thinking, why not try? So he wrote a letter. Handwritten, simple, honest. His brother wrote back. They talk every Sunday now, not because everything got fixed, but because connection doesn't need perfection. It just needs a spark. So think about who that might be for you. Someone you miss. Someone you wonder about. Someone you used to laugh with. Don't let pride or awkwardness stop you. The quiet can be stubborn, but so can love. Send a message, a note, a photo, anything that says, you still matter to me. And if they don't respond, that's okay too. You did your part. You extended your hand. That counts for more than you know. Now, I want to share a third habit that's deeply powerful because it helps you connect not just with others, but also with yourself. And that is, become part of something again. That might sound vague, but let me explain. After 60, Many people step away from their lifelong roles: worker, parent, caregiver. And when those roles go quiet, our sense of belonging sometimes fades with them. But you still have so much to offer, and there are so many places that need you. A friend of mine, Margot, 66, started volunteering at a local animal shelter. She wasn't an expert in animals, she just liked being around them. But what she didn't expect was how the people there, other volunteers, staff, even visitors, started to become her people. They shared stories, asked about each other's families, swapped soup recipes. She told me, "It didn't take long before I felt like I belonged somewhere again." Maybe for you it's a book club, or a church group, a walking club, quilting circle, community garden, or even a local choir. Something that gets you out of the house and into a space where people gather not because they have to, but because they want to. And here's the beautiful thing: showing up is enough. You don't have to lead the meeting or be the life of the party. Just your presence opens the door to something new. You get to be part of something again, and that makes a difference. Now that we've talked about starting conversations, reaching out to old connections, and joining something meaningful, let's keep going. Because sometimes, the path out of loneliness isn't just about others. It's about discovering something new within yourself. Because sometimes, the path out of loneliness isn't just about others. It's about discovering something new within yourself. That brings me to something truly transformative: creating something of your own. Now, you might be thinking, "I'm not an artist," or "I've never been crafty." But I'm not talking about painting perfect portraits or knitting sweaters for everyone you know. I mean using your hands, your heart, and your attention to build something. Anything that brings you a sense of presence and purpose. Let me tell you about Harry. He's 74. Retired from accounting. Lived a quiet life. After his wife passed, the house just felt hollow. Too quiet, too clean, too still. He tried reading, tried walking, but the days still felt long. Then one afternoon he stumbled across his old toolbox in the garage. It had been years since he built anything, but the next day, he went to the hardware store, picked up some scrap wood, and decided to build a small birdhouse. It wasn't fancy. The nails were crooked. The paint was too thick. But when he hung it outside and watched a little sparrow peek inside, something clicked. "I hadn't smiled like that in a long time," he told me. "It made me feel useful again." Now Harry builds benches for the local park. He donates them with small plaques that say things like, "Sit, stay a while, you matter." And he does it not just for the birds or the town, but because creating something, anything, gave him a reason to wake up with a plan, a reason to get his hands a little dirty again. So ask yourself, what could you start? Maybe it's writing down memories for your grandchildren. Maybe it's baking bread for neighbors. Maybe it's learning photography and capturing the way the light hits your kitchen window at 7:14 a.m. That counts. That matters. Because when you create, you connect. With yourself. With others. With the world around you. Now let's talk about something that might feel a bit harder, but might just open your heart in the gentlest of ways. Let someone help you. That sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest things to do, especially as we get older. We're used to being the helpers, the doers, the problem solvers. And asking for help can feel like weakness. But it's not. It's human. When you let someone carry your groceries or fix that wobbly chair or listen while you talk about the old days, you give them the gift of being needed. You build trust. You start a bond. There's a woman I know, Louise, who's 69 and recovering from knee surgery. Her neighbor, a young man named Carlos, offered to shovel her driveway. At first, she refused. "I didn't want to be a burden," she said. But he showed up anyway. Every morning after it snowed, her path was clear. He never knocked, never asked for anything, just did it. Finally, one day, she baked him cookies and left them in a tin by his door. That tin became a conversation. The conversation became tea. Now, they sit together once a week. She calls him her adopted grandson. He calls her Miss L. That connection, one that crosses generations, only happened because she accepted help. So maybe today, if someone offers you something, time, support, kindness, say yes. Not because you can't do it alone, but because you don't have to. And finally, one of the most healing habits you can embrace: be around people who really see you, not the ones who wave in passing or say the right things at the holiday party. I mean the people who see past the surface, past your age or your wrinkles, and recognize your stories, your humor, your wisdom. Now, those people might not always be family. They might not be childhood friends. Sometimes they're new. Sometimes they come into your life when you least expect it. I remember a gentleman who started attending a local storytelling group. He was quiet at first, just listened. But the third week, he stood up and told a short story about his first date in 1962. The way his hands shook, the scent of her perfume, the way she laughed at all his bad jokes. The room was silent. Then they all laughed. Then they clapped. After the meeting, someone came up to him and said, "That was beautiful. I hope you come back next week." He did. And he said something that stuck with me. For the first time in years, I felt like I mattered to someone outside of myself. That's the power of being seen. It reminds you that your life has weight, that your words, your presence, your memories, they still matter. So whether it's through an old friend, a neighbor, a stranger in a park, or someone you meet at a class or club, seek those who make you feel real again. And be that person for someone else too. Now that we've explored some of the most heartfelt ways to rebuild connection, from unexpected hellos to creative joy, to accepting help and being truly seen, there's still one more habit that can truly change how you experience each day. Let's keep going. You see, sometimes the most powerful way to reconnect with others is to first reconnect with yourself. That might sound strange at first. After all, this whole conversation has been about reaching out, building bridges, inviting people in. But if your own inner world feels empty or forgotten, even the warmest company can feel distant. That's why the fifth connection habit, maybe the most important one, is learning to enjoy your own presence again. This doesn't mean you have to become some kind of meditating monk or take yourself out to dinner every Saturday night, though if that sounds fun, I say go for it. What it really means is making peace with the quiet, making friends with the stillness, and finding joy even when no one else is in the room. There's a gentleman named Walter, 82 years old, who told me once that he used to dread Sundays. The house was too quiet, the phone didn't ring, and the days stretched long. He would turn on the TV just for noise, but it never filled the space. Then one morning, he sat at the window with his coffee and didn't turn the TV on. He just watched. Watched the wind through the trees. Watched a squirrel run the fence. Listened to the hum of the refrigerator, the creak of the wood. And he realized something. He wasn't lonely in that moment. He was simply alone. There's a big difference. Lonely is empty. Alone is full of potential. Since then, he started writing down what he noticed in the mornings. He doesn't call it a journal. He says, "It's just me, noticing the world again." And slowly, being alone didn't feel so painful. It became peaceful. And when the phone finally did ring, or someone dropped by, he welcomed it from a place of fullness, not desperation. I say all this because I know how easy it is to fall into the belief that our best social years are behind us, that the friends we had, the conversations we loved, the laughter over coffee, the secrets whispered on the porch, that all of it belonged to the past. But I want you to hear this. That isn't true. The heart doesn't retire. The soul doesn't stop needing closeness. And we don't lose our capacity to love, laugh, and connect just because the calendar keeps turning. You may have to be braver now than you were before. You may have to try harder to reach out, to show up, to let people in. But I promise, it's worth it. If any part of this conversation felt familiar, if you recognized yourself in Harry's birdhouse, or Louise's snow-covered driveway, or the man who whispered his story into a room full of strangers and found himself heard, then you're already part of something. You're not alone in your loneliness. And that's the quiet truth we sometimes forget. Connection doesn't begin with grand gestures or huge social circles. It begins with one gentle act, one moment of courage, one choice to say yes to a conversation, a walk, a smile, a pause. You don't need to do all 5 habits at once. In fact, you don't need to do any of them perfectly. Just pick one, try it, see what happens. And if it feels good, try it again. The door doesn't swing wide all at once. It opens a little, then a little more, until one day you look around and realize there's light in the room again, laughter in your kitchen, names in your phone you look forward to seeing. So, today, just take a breath. Maybe call someone you haven't talked to in a while. Maybe sit quietly with your coffee and let the moment be enough. Maybe even leave a comment down below. Tell us how you're feeling or what helped you most. You might be surprised who writes back. And if this video gave you something, a little comfort, a little hope, please give it a like or subscribe. We're building a space here where people over 60 are seen, heard, and valued. You're a part of that now. Because here's the truth. Life after 60 is still life. Still full of chances, still full of connection, still full of you. And I, for one, am glad you're here. Here's to the beautiful connections still waiting for you, and to the ones you've already made, just by showing up. You're not too late. You're right on time.